Will ruling against Diana trigger a series of court cases? Election monitor against regional development. Prasanna to take care of Namal too. Soothsayers consulted for crossover.
The leader, දේශයට මග කියන ප්‍රවෘත්ති පෙළගැස්ම.
Will ruling against Diana trigger a series of court cases? Day before yesterday, the Supreme Court unseated Diana from Parliament. All the media is now full of things related to her. The SJB says Diana will have to face courts again over faking documents to obtain the seat. Its MP Apuhami says another case will be filed against her. In the meantime, Professor Pratibha Mahanamahewa says Diana can challenge the ruling against her by a 3-member panel before a full bench of Supreme Court judges. At the same time, the SJB can name a successor to the Election Commission. That ends the story. Which will come first? Another matter arises now. The legality of the SJB registered under Diana comes into question following the court ruling. Minister Kanchana said in Parliament that those who came to Parliament from a party registered to the name of a non-citizen should find a good team of lawyers now.
තීන්දුවකුත් දීලා තිබුණා අපේ හිටපු රාජ්‍යමත්තුමියට ඩයනා ගමගේ මැතිනියට. එතුමියගේ മന്ത്രി දුරේ පිළිබඳව. මෙතන ඉන්න മന്ത്രിවරු අතිබහුතරයකට පක්ෂයත් ඒ පක්ෂය ලිහාපදිංචි කරලා අත්සන් කරලා දීලා තියෙන්නේ එතුමිය. දැන් ප්‍රශ්නයක් එනවා සමගි ජන බලවේගය ඇත්තටම නීත්‍යානුකූල වළංගුද කියලා.
Mahanamahewa's opinion is that the SJB, being a registered party with a leader, general secretary and chairman, its registration should be challenged by naming several others as respondents and a case filed in courts. Also, Diana has got paid fraudulently for 4 years from public money, which should be dealt with separately. So, does that mean a series of court cases are to follow? Encouraged by the ruling against Diana, the SJB wants an early conclusion to the case they filed against Harin and Manusha over their joining the government with ministerial portfolios. Chief Opposition Whip Kiriella questioned the case's delay in Parliament and threatened to expose the third judge said to be responsible. With months to go to presidential polls, the fate of several parties is in the hands of courts. More are likely, but none brings solutions to the people's burning issues. Critics say this ruling only goes to establish the independence of the judiciary yet again. Election monitor against regional development. On Monday, the President chaired the meeting of ruling MPs. Ranjith Sayambalapitiya spoke first. The Parati law matter will not be taken up until December, he said. Adiramani objected, saying it should be looked into promptly because small-time businesses are getting listed at crib. Lending him support was Mahindananda. But Central Bank Chief Nandalal said even those listed in the crib are eligible to receive loans. Minister Nalin said that was not possible, and Mahindananda spoke on behalf of him this time. Ranil intervened and said he sought a report from the central bank. State banks can do something, but not the private ones, he said. Thereafter, Vijayadasa and Kanchana explained about resolving dowry cases and the Electricity Amendment Bill, respectively. Chamara took up the on-arrival visa fiasco, saying it was a shame for the government which has been doing things nicely. Harin said a world-renowned institution was handed over the task that will give a promotional advantage too. Some underhand dealing has taken place, which needs to be looked into, he said. Yes, I too know about that. Those who arrive on tourist visas work in hotels in the south. We discussed this at COPE too, said Madura. Prasanna referred to the youth who raised a brawl at the airport. His father contested in Gampaha from the JVP, he said. Ranil said, he has a right to question, but he spoke about his wife's visa. It should have been settled according to the law. No one can break wires, shout and play hell at the airport. A country needs discipline. Those in tourism told me about it. The cabinet decided to keep the visa fee at the previous rate. The most important thing is Urumaya deed distribution. Prasanna did well in Gamapaha. Tell us about it, he told Prasanna. That one gave a detailed account on the subject. Ranil told him to inquire into the deed distribution program. In the meantime, the Election Commission made trouble. The Daily Mirror quoted a state official as saying, "The government's development drive ahead of presidential polls met with stiff resistance from the Election Commission. It has barred the involvement of political representatives of the ruling side in any such activities." The Election Commission looked into a complaint by Election Monitor, PAFREL, about the impact of the involvement of politicians to carry out election propaganda in the guise of development work in divisional secretariats areas. The government has instructed all district secretaries to take measures to complete development projects using money allocated under the decentralised budget before July 31st. The PAFREL raised concerns that such an expedition of development projects ahead of the declaration of the presidential election will have a beneficial effect on the ruling side. It sought the intervention of the Election Commission to ensure that no party or candidate gains political mileage. There is no argument that regional development should continue because the economic crisis has halted all that work. But development work cannot happen during election time. There is no argument on that account either. But the thing is, no election has been announced yet. So some say this opposition seems to be uncalled for. Prasanna to take care of Namal too. SLPP MPs met at Nelam Mawatha Place to discuss future plans. Basil said they should prepare for an election this year. When asked who their candidate would be, Mahinda said the party would make it public at the right time and asked all to keep mum about it. Namal came to Prasanna and asked him to organise his meetings in Hambantota. "Okay, Mali, I am ready any time. You give me a date. I'll come," he said. Namal promised to meet him within days to discuss that. After the meeting ended, journalists inquired from Prasanna about the SLPP's candidate. He replied that there was still time to make the announcement. He recalled that Gotabaya was announced just 45 days before the election. Answering another question, he said the party will take that decision and that decisions taken by their leader Mahinda never proved wrong. He expected a good decision this time too. When inquired if he would continue to be with Ranil, he said that is so, because it was him who got the country out of trouble. Soothsayers consulted for crossover. A SJB MP from Gampaha, said to be joining Ranil, soon went to see a soothsayer a couple of weeks ago to get his future read. His previous predictions about him proved to be correct. This time, he was told to do whatever as quickly as possible. Since then, he has been egging on the would-be crossovers to make their move now, or else to get nothing. Another from the area told him to keep quiet until the president tells them at the right time. Now they are seeking advice from soothsayers too. But Ranil's auspicious time is yet to come. Politicians will do almost anything for their own good. But the question is if they do things on people's behalf similarly. So, whatever they do, people should be wise enough to make the correct decision in consideration of their future. That's it for today.